Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 6 of what if Naruto had the red Rinnegan and was neglected. Remember to get this one to 300 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune for what if Naruto learned the clone secret over on Anime King 2, and I do hope that you guys enjoy. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying and talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off, as Sasori was one of Naruto's spy in the Akatsuki. As you remember how it happened, Sasori was bested so quickly, he didn't understand. Even his 100 puppets were bested like they were nothing, as he saw Naruto as a true work of art, something that should be remain for eternity. And from that day on, he decided to serve Naruto. So, he's been spying the Akatsuki for Naruto ever since. As Naruto made his way with Naruko to one of Sasori's hideouts to stay there for the night until they made their way tomorrow in the Hidden Rain. As Naruto told her about the masked guy, the one that was responsible for ripping the 9 tails out of their mother, making her go insane. As Naruto wondered what would have happened if that didn't happen. How would their normal life be like? As Naruko was wondering the same thing. But still, Naruto was enjoying this life now because things were better now. He's in charge of a kingdom. Yes, things are way better. But still, that guy, he caused everything. And Naruto agreed, as Naruto told her that he will let her fight him because he took on Orochimaru and killed him, and also Danzo by himself. As we then skip towards Nagato, as Konan was being transmitted, she had Naruto transmitter in her so that he could hear everything from the meeting. It was because she was one of Naruto's spies as well. A few years ago, Naruto walked into the Hidden Rain. Nagato was surprised. Konan received a blunt trauma to the head that just knocked her silly. That must be the reason why she had this devotion to Naruto. But Nagato saw something beyond him. He saw a real god. And from that day on, he's been serving Naruto as well, just to meet the masked man find himself in a vulnerable spot so they could easily wipe him out. As that man was on the move, always moving around, but now Naruto got him. Meanwhile, the Akatsuki had their meeting as they were looking for Fu. Zetsu had no idea as she made her way towards the Iron Country and then vanished. But Fu was currently under disguise in the Iron Country as one of Naruto's spies, talking to Mifune, the leader of the Iron Country, who wanted to call a meeting between all of the remaining villagers that didn't sign Naruto agreement. As Fu has been spying for Naruto for years now, with new disguise, eye, contact lenses and everything, so no one will know who she is, well, except for the Akatsuki members. And Mifune had trusted her very much. She's near up to the top ranks, and Naruto has been getting all of that information that she has been receiving. But now it's time for her to report. The next day, Naruto made his way towards the Hidden Rain along with Naruko, as he told her to watch out for the masked man abilities, but don't worry, if she needs his help, all she had to do was ask. As the masked man was currently standing on the roof, Itachi was there as well along with Kisame. Everything was just quiet as the raid was just calming. But suddenly, the man saw a giant meteor start to race on the sky, a massive fireball coming down towards him, shocking the hell out of him. So yeah guys, that was basically last we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So what is we begin this new episode? There was a massive explosion as the meteor slammed into a training field near the Rain Tower, the largest tower in the Hidden Rain, could be known as the Kage Tower as well, and at the same time very far away from any building in the Hidden Rain. The ground shook after it landed and threw up massive earth of chunks. It sizzled as the rain started to cool on the fire burning on the meteor rock. 9 ninjas landed around the cracking rock as they stood straight, narrowing their eyes at the rock. When the rain cooled it down, they saw that the rock was cold black. Crack. It started to crack. As it cracked in the very center and opened up, revealing 2 red-haired twins inside. As Naruto was standing with his arm crossed, Naruko was sitting down. As the both of them had sinister smirks on their faces, Obito quickly narrowed his eyes. He recognized the boy. His black under armor and his godly eyes were obviously indications for who he was. It pieced in his mind together who the girl was, because she looked so much like the king, it made him almost dizzy. King Naruto, the man whispered as he activated Sharingan, morphing it into the eternal monkey to Sharingan. Naruko leaped to her feet. "My name," said Naruto, as he looked at every Akatsuki member, from Sasori to Deidara, as a grin spread on his face. "My name is Naruto. I am the king of the Sakai Kingdom," he said, as he placed a firm hand on his sister's left shoulder, as she looked at him at the corner of her eye. "And this is my sister, Naruko, the queen of the Sakai Kingdom." As she looked at him, "Really? You're doing this now?" As he nodded, Naruto simply smiled as he patted her shoulder. "We've come to dismantle your organization." "Sasori, Konan, stand down," said Naruto. To everyone's shock, they did, as they moved away from the others. Deidara stood there in shock, but he spoke. "What makes you think you have a chance against all of us, kid?" he said. "Why don't you come and find out?" said Naruto, as he placed his hands in his pockets, as his sister was staring at Tobi. "Your opponent is my sister," Naruto said, looking at Tobi. "As for the rest of you, make sure you don't hold back or it will be your downfall." He don't swing his sight. "I don't know who the hell you think you are, but I'm gonna enjoy chopping you to pieces," he said, as Naruto looked straight into Itachi's eyes, without fear of being put in an illusion, as he motioned for Itachi to come. "When I'm done with your sister, I'll come after you," said Obito, as he broke character, talking in a serious tone, as Naruko clenched her fists, as she tightened her movements ready to strike. Normally, he wouldn't indulge someone first, but his urge on getting Naruto Rinnegan was too much. It overpowered him as he leaped forward. 5 minutes later, and the masked man has gathered a lot on Naruko. Her skin was impenetrable, her bone was unbreakable, her movements were quick and fluid, given her grandfather had altered her Uzumaki stamina. It was just crazy. His fist shot out, but she slapped them down as he jumped away. There was dozens of kunais littered all around the ground. He had sent so much after her, but they simply shattered when they touched her skin. She narrowed her eyes towards him before bouncing on the balls of her heels. She then rushed forward. She ducked under his swipe and appeared behind him as she created 3 bones and slashed right through him. But they went right through him as he jumped away. The blades slipped back into her hand. As she closed her eyes, she had a hyper sense, as she was able to even block out certain noises, as she cancelled the noise of her brother facing off against the S-rank ninjas over there. She could feel everything around her. She rolled her wrists as a bone slipped out of her right palm. She snapped it off and stabbed it into the ground. The ground cracked as she then rushed over to the right, going towards Uchiha. He was still underestimating her. She just had to show him why she can be dangerous as her godly brother. Despite suppressing his chakra, she still sensed him. Maybe she is better than he thought. Meanwhile, even though Naruto looked Itachi in the eyes and motioned for him to come at him, it was Kisame who charged first, and he done rushed forward as well. Deidara stayed back as he started to mouth claim to his hands, and Kakazu also held back as well, standing there along with Itachi just to observe the Rinnegan team. Naruto spread his hands and a large black rod appeared as he spun with it and smashed it into Samihata with so much force, making Kisame's hand tremble as Naruto flipped and drive his boot down straight into Samihata, pinning it down to the ground, as Naruto stabbed the rod right into the head of Samihata, as he then jumped back with a kick to smash right into the side that he done swing at him. Samihata started to scream and move around even louder as Naruto smashed his foot right into Hidan's chest, knocking him away, as he flipped and landed right on Kisame's shoulder, who was still trying to pull Samehata from the ground. Kisame cursed as Naruto landed. Another rod appeared in Naruto's hand as he drove it right through Kisame's head. Naruto chuckled as Kisame burst into water. A bird then came sailing down from the sky. Boom! The thing erupted right as it was close enough to Naruto. But Naruto was already a distance away, rushing towards Hidan. As Hidan swung his sight, Naruto jumped over it and landed behind Hidan. Damn it, brat! Who the hell do you think I am? Hidan asked. A immortal training dummy, said Naruto. As he bent back, missing a slash from Hidan. As he then lashed out his hand and grabbed onto the blade. As he straightened up and yanked it, Hidan refused to let it go, so he was pulled towards Naruto. Naruto caught him by his face and smashed him to his right into Kisame, who had risen out of the ground without his weapon and was rushing towards him with murderous killing intent, making Naruto throw Hidan right into him, but he burst into water once again. Hidan got his sight as he swung it towards Naruto's neck, but to his surprise, the sight shattered against Naruto's neck. As Naruto turned towards Hidan, with a wicked smile on his face as Hidan saw it now, the black armor that went straight up. The thing was so tough it shattered his sight like it was nothing. Indestructible, cursed, obsidian metal. As Hidan was shocked that his weapon has been broken. What will you do now? Naruto asked. As Naruto appeared in front of him and grabbed him by the throat, before holding onto the arm that he used to swing his sight, as he ripped it out of the socket and smashed Hidan's arm straight into his own face, sending him sailing away. As Hidan smashed right into the center of a clearing. Swing and miss, Naruto said. He breaks his weapon and finally shuts up. As he still looked over his shoulder at Kisame, who was trying to pull his weapon from the ground that he was embedded in. He had tried to yank out the metal rod, but the moment he touched it, his chakra was being pulled out of him. As Naruto raised an amused eyebrow, how desperately the man was trying to free his sword that was screaming. And you, are you telling me that you can't fight without your blade in your hands or on your back? A servant of mine told me that you were capable of fighting without it near you. As Naruto picked up Hidan's broken sight, it was now a metal pole, throwing away Hidan's arm. As Naruto then slashed it to the side, deflecting several explosive birds that came towards him. As Naruto spun it and slammed it right into the ground, looking forward at Deidara, who was finding his bird. Is it all you can do? Throw bombs and hope for the best. As Naruto twisted his body, tearing out the ground, just moving his feet around. As to Itachi and Kakazu's point of view, they saw what Naruto was doing. As Naruto added lightning and wind as he thrust the metal pole. Deidara couldn't even move as the thing tear right through his skull, thrusting his body away as the bird collapsed and exploded. Underwhelming, if I'm being honest. Naruto said that disappointed sigh. His mood then picked up when he felt a terrible, spinning green tornado blast behind him as a water dragon screamed out from the sky and ate him as a smile came on his face. Meanwhile, the fight with Naruko wasn't going as fast or as well as the masked man anticipated. It wasn't that he was not better than her as a fighter, but she just had more chakra, stamina, and her body still remained as strong as titanium, making any blow that came in contact with him close to fatal if he did not lean away. And she has gotten more than a few blows in already. For the most part of the fight, all he could do was defend and counter, his Sharingan pulse as he keep up with her. She then started to lash out at him with several jabs as he quickly backpedaled away, but suddenly a earth arm came from the ground and grabbed him, a clone arm. As slipping out of it was rather easy, but that allowed her time to come right in front of him. Her body was enhanced with a green, toxic chakra, heavenly whirlpool destruction, 120 body strikes. As her eyes narrow into slits, the ground under her exploded as she channeled her chakra to cover her body. The jutsu she has called was Orochimaru's version of the Hyuga jutsu. Her stance became even harder as the helplessness feeling took over Tobi, as her teeth extended out into fangs as she glared at him. Her red ponytail started to spin in a tornado of chakra that started to cover the place entirely with Tobi inside, as the evil green chakra took full power and full control of the Uchiha, locking him in place as he couldn't move. His Sharingan eye widened. Before he could do anything, Her fist smashed into his shoulder. Crack. She sent another blow. Crack. As she sent another blow to his other wrist. Crack. Her attacks became incredibly faster, hitting points over his body with deadly accuracy. His bones were being snapped. Her punches and kick broke his body down with ferocity and speed that Toby has never seen before. And after a second of each blow, the light blinded his eyes for the most part. When his right leg had been destroyed in his pelvis, a vortex forced him out, ripped him out of it by swallowing him whole. As Naruko saw it and stopped, as the chakra around her started to slow down, as she spread out her senses to find him, there was a blink behind her brother and her eyes wide in horror. Naruto! Earlier, as the water dragon came to strike Naruto, Naruto simply flied through it, destroying it. His feet touched back down to the ground, and he was immediately attacked by Kisame. An ox kick came down from the sky as Naruto dodged it, as he then dodged another roundhouse kick, as he hopped over a sweeping leg kick and slapped away a kick that was aimed at his jaw. Kisame slipped back after all of his attacks were blocked or evaded. As Kisame then rushed forward, Naruto simply ducked under his face and appeared right behind him. Kisame swinging his hand around and making Naruto jump back. "Don't play with me, you brat," Kisame shouted. He roared in outrage as Naruto was blocking and dodging his attacks. As this was going on, Naruto had a smile on his face. As Kisame lashed towards him, everything froze. As Naruto looked over the raindrops, all of them were just floating in the air. Everyone else, his sister, was rushing towards him with concern on her face, as he wondered what had tripped his sensory alarms. As he saw a translucent spiral of air, it was like when his father was trying to use a Harashin on his mother, as it was opening up wide enough a vortex for a man to fit through, with the masked man hand stretching forward, his hand going straight towards Naruto's eye. As Naruto's face got cleared of all emotions, but he was furious. He spun and smashed a foot right into Kisame's chest where his heart was. But Kisame's body still did not move because Naruto's Rinnegan was seen at high speeds. But there was a pulse on his back from the force that Naruto hit him with, hitting right on his chest and even affecting all the way to his back. Naruto's hand then snapped up and caught the Uchiha wrist. That was when he finally allowed his eyes to see at regular speeds. Kisame's heart exploded from his back. As blood exploded from his mouth, his heart sailing away faster than his body did, before his body crashed several distance away. Naruko sighed in relief when she saw her brother had the man by his wrist. Toby gasped as he saw his hand was caught by the Rinnegan King. Naruto tightened his hand as there was a crack. He pulled Toby closer and grabbed him by the neck. Naruto tightened his throat. Eternal Monkey to Sharingan, looking to godly Rinnegan. "You," said Naruto, his voice sounding dark, "wanted to steal." Two more arms came from Naruto's shoulder and held on to Toby's limp arms. As they held them apart, these were two of the four arms of the Ashura Path. They had to rip apart Naruto's shirt to come out. "My eyes," Naruto said, as his voice became demon deep, and his eyes were pulsating with godly power. His eyes easily deflect the Sharingan Genjutsu that was being cast on him. Two more arms spread out from Naruto's arms. The right arm then came forward and ripped Toby's mask off. His left hand went over and sealed off all of the Uchiha chakra so he wouldn't pull any other stunt, just like he did with Mei Terumi. Blood came from Obito's mouth as he tried to make his body move, but to no avail. Naruto did not recognize the man, nor did Itachi or Kakazu step in to help, and even if they did, Naruko was right behind him. Naruto controlled his Ashura arm as it reached forward and plucked the Sharingan out. Obito screamed in agony as Naruto took his slow time to do so. There was a small puff of smoke as Naruto sealed onto the palm of the lower right hand as he ripped out the other eye in a slow process, leaving him with empty, hollowed eyes, sockets, and panting for air as his body still refused to move. "You will suffer," said Naruto as his arms merged back inside, for trying. He was going to have Hamato Toshi extract every intelligence out of this masked man. He didn't care if torture was used urgently. He wanted his sister to kill him, but seeing that this man came after his Rinnegan, making it obvious he knew of the power of the eyes. That made Naruto want to know what was he planning to do, if he had somehow succeeded, or if there was another motive the Uchiha had held, informing the Akatsuki. Naruto tapped his here his free hand, the other one still holding on to Obito's neck, as he called for a vehicle. sis, Naruto called. As she looked over, still keeping an eye on the two other Akatsuki members. Do you want to handle them? Her eyes still look a bit downcast. Before she spoke, no. I still have a lot of things to learn before I can face S-rank like them. I was just looking at this body in my chakra, if not, I would have been toast. Naruto dropped Obito on the ground in a heap and patted Naruko's shoulder. If you want, I'll help you train. We still have a few days before we step on Konoha. Thanks bro, she said. As Naruto stepped forward, going towards Kakazu and Itachi, both of them got into fighting stances. He came forward as his godly eyes started to pulsate with power. Naruko stood there and watched. Watching Naruto fight Kakazu and Itachi, it made her saw something ever since she returned. Her brother was on a different level. It was like he was on a different plane of existence from her. It was not jealousy that was whispered in her ear. It would be impossible for her to feel jealous of her twin, but it was insecurities, as she felt inferior to him. At the moment, he wasn't even using a Rinnegan ability against the two S-rank ninjas, purely ninjutsu and taijutsu. And he was doing it with so much finesse, she doubted that she could ever do something like that. As she was facing off against Tobi, she was struggling against one opponent while her brother took on three, decimating all of them and moving on like it was nothing. She knew her brother was putting fear into them to show them that there was no possible way they could leave unless their souls went to the afterlife. He didn't mean to show off in front of her unless it was a playful display of power, like when he blew off the door in their mother Sakurahachi Holt in Konoha. But she knew if she simply asked him for his Rinnegan, it was strangely enough that he would just give her both without any hesitation. It is that kind of love that he had for her, and that made her love him even more. He would do all of that for her, hand over his kingdom, anything. Because if the roles were reversed, she would give him anything that he wanted as well. And she loved him much more because of this. But she would never do something like that. He was the one that rises up from the ground and placed it in the sky. Their dream was coming true after all. As she felt bad, he had given her a choice. The both of them had a choice. But all she could do back then was just simply die. He was the one that killed Orochimaru. He was the one that killed Danzo. No matter how much time that he told her that the both of them were living their dream, the both of them had built the Sky Kingdom, it was their dream after all. She felt insecure. She had nothing to do with it. She had blown her chance. All that she could do was simply die back then. She watched as her brother went through hand sign. Fire style, great fireball technique. A water jet stream smashed into Naruto fireball from Kakazu, the water mass. As the other mass and Kakazu was behind the water mass as they tried to fend off the massive flame that was coming towards them. The fire was easily as big as a Kage tower. Kakazu and the other mass jumped away quickly as Naruto pushed more steam. The fireball swallowed the water mass with ease. Naruto then jumped away from several firebirds shooting out of different positions as he flipped and landed on his feet as his right hand went up and went into the dragon hand seal. Lightning release, dolphin, lightning rod, earth, destruction. He lifted his arm to the sky as golden lightning came down and struck his metal palm. As he brought his hand down and smashed it right on the ground, still holding the hand sign right to his chest. The ground fractured violently, spiderweb of lightning fractured out from all sides. Orange, dolphin-shaped lightning bolts came out of the ground, jumping in and jumping out. Itachi leaped out from the brush that he was hiding in, being chased by 12 dolphins. As Naruto then spun and smashed a fist right into an earth pillar. He bent his head and chased after the earth mass as Kakazu then appeared right behind Naruto. Naruto ducked under the feet as Kakazu jumped away. Bolts of lightning and fireballs rained down on him from two other masses in the sky. As Naruko was sitting on the ground, her knees were pulled up to her chest as she was watching everything. She didn't deserve to be his queen. She has done nothing to grow his kingdom. She needed to find a way to get better before their fight with their father. She knew that her brother wanted her to join in as well to get their revenge. There was only one way that she could become stronger for herself and her brother. But she had to wait till Naruto finished his fight to pitch the idea to him. Back to Naruto, Naruto slammed his fist into the ground. Earth release. Great. Earth command chains, he said. The ground shook violently before massive chains exploded out of it as they wrapped around the lightning mass and squashed it, ripping it to pieces. Naruto had to jump away from a kick from Kakazu. The outer path was where Naruto got his ability to see faster than any other humans, and the azure path was fortifying his body so he could move faster and keep up with his eyes as well. As Kakazu lashed out at Naruto's neck with a stab, everything simply froze all around him. Kakazu didn't know it, but he was already dead from the moment Naruto looked at him. As Kakazu remained in his forward lightning stab, the lightning bolts that Itachi did not destroy was still crackling a bit in the air. A few in the air with their teeth exposed to bite into Itachi, seeing that his cloak was charred and burned, as the air went completely still. As Naruto looked fully at Kakazu, his green eyes glaring hatefully at Naruto, as his own cloak was shredded and his mask had been destroyed. Naruto walked forward and slopped away the kunai that Kakazu had in his hand to pierce his neck. As Naruto walked behind Kakazu and kicked the inside of his right knee, shattering it. As he drive forth his fingers outwards, puncturing the man's right and left kidney. As he lifted his right elbow and cracked it right under the man's chin. He then took a step back and clenched his right fist. Golden orange chakra exploded in his hands. He cocked his fist forward and then thrust it. As he smashed it right where Kakazu's heart was, the last heart that he had remained in, as a protrusion came on Kakazu's back. As Naruto allowed everything to return back to normal, Naruto blinked. The only thing she saw was a bright flash of golden and orange around Naruto, and Kakazu's heart was sent sailing out of his chest. His body was sent sailing away as well. With his last heart in his body, there was no way he was getting up back. Naruto then felt something as he turned, as he saw his remaining dolphins got cut through with a red blade. Naruto smiled as Itachi looked back at him. Is Mangekyou bleeding heavily? As Naruto looked at the construct of power, it gave him an idea in his head. As the arm was lifted and brought down towards Naruto, Almighty pushed Naruto's head. The giant red sword in the arm was ripped off from Susanoo and sent sailing backwards. As Itachi's eyes went wide, Universal Pull, said Naruto. Itachi was ripped from his creation as Naruto's hand grabbed his throat. Itachi crawled at the hand but to no avail as he was being suffocated. As Itachi's chakra started to leave him, as Naruto only stopped when his Mangekyou was released, his eyes were turning black. As Naruto sensed that he was low on chakra and if he was to drop him, he would not be able to stand. As Naruto smiled, I wanted to kill you most, Itachi. As Itachi's eyes were barely open, he was twitching as Naruto was still holding on to him. Why, I never hurt you. Either of you, he said. Yes you did, said Naruto. As a retrieval vehicle appeared, as Naruto then pointed to Obito, as they must contain the unconscious Uchiha. As Naruto called over to Naruko, as she made her way forward, she stood behind her brother with her hands behind her back. As Naruto looked over his shoulder as he wondered what was wrong, but he then looked back at Itachi and continued, You have every opportunity to save my sister and me from my godfather, but you didn't. No, said Itachi. I didn't know, he said. You're lying, said Naruto. I have the memory of Orochimaru and Danzo. Itachi's shoulders sagged after hearing Naruto's words. He was the one that delivered funds and things to the twins' godfather and written a report back to their father, him and Shisui. But after Shisui killed himself, it was all up to Itachi. But he defected after his son was destroyed. Danzo might have been an old man, but his memories of why Itachi had left in the first place was fresh. The betrayal ran deep. The twins might have not seen the Uchihas as their friends, but at least they thought that he would have their back, or at least giving them mental or moral support. But Itachi and Shisui watched and did nothing. Behind Naruto, Naruko clenched her fists. As Naruto looked over his shoulder, she looked away. As he looked at her with a worried look on his face, she saw him. Later, she said. As Naruto could feel the connection between them, he could feel partially what was wrong with her. As he looked back to Itachi, he wanted to suck out Itachi's soul, but he wanted Itachi to suffer before he died. But Naruko, what was wrong with her was on his mind. I'll deal with you later, he said, as he dropped Itachi on the ground. As Naruto waved his hand, as three members came over, remove his eyes and seal off his chakra. Yes, sir. As Naruto saw Nora, as she had a new shirt for him, seeing that his old one was ripped, when the Azure Path hand came over, as he motioned for her to come as he removed his old shirt. As he put on his new shirt with the Sky Kingdom written on the back in gold. As his Rinnegan eye flipped towards subordinates, as he signed to them to wait for him in the vehicle. They nod as he slipped away quietly, as he finally turned towards her. What's wrong, he said. I don't deserve to be your queen, brother, she said, as she crossed her arms. A small, amused smile came near his face, as a small blush came over her face as she turned her head. May I know why, Naruto asked, seeing that he was smiling at her. There are a lot of reasons, but for now, I'm saying that I'm going to join your army and work my way up the ranks. You're going to do what? Said Naruto. Sis, you don't need to prove yourself to me. I know that you're plenty strong. As she saw that Nora was holding two other girls back, one with piercing, with purple hair, and another red head, telling them that the king was having a private conversation with his sister. I know I'm strong. It's that, Naruto placed a hand on her shoulder. It's that I want to be strong enough to stand by you, she said. Naruto looked at her for a minute. Let's meet in the middle, he said. What do you have in mind, she said. You can join the army but only after you take a rank evaluation and placement exam. It's a special test people take after they leave the academy. Normally, people pass with flying colors and make their way to copper rank. But I know a boy who went straight towards silver rank. So, it's not that hard for you to pass and go to gold rank if you put in a lot of dedication. Yes, she said with a smile on her face. I want to do that. He waved his finger in front of her face, but only under one condition. Huh? What is it? That you don't hold back, he said. Fine, sure, she said as she hugged him tight. This time, I promise to make you proud. Naruto laughed and patted her back. No worries, he said, as he released her and placed the armor over her shoulder as they turned towards the vehicle and a small crowd of people were watching them. Go and dry yourself off in the vehicle. I want to go speak to those two over there. She nodded as they parted as she made her way towards the retrieval vehicle. As she was bombarded with questions, how it felt to be related to the king, and also most of them were to flatter the girl. As Naruto made his way, as a Deva path, and Konan fell down to their knees, in a bowing position. Nora and Sorcerer, this time not in his puppet, followed beside them, with a bow. I will send over a team to fix your training ground, Nagato. I apologize for the damage. There is no need for that, my lord. You simply being here is more than enough, the Pad said as he closed his eyes. Regardless of that, I cannot repay your loyalty by wrecking this fine place. I insist, said Naruto. Then I'm eternally grateful, sir. He waved it away as he addressed Konan. I hope you didn't mind me using you as my eyes and ears, Konan. Konan blushed deeply as she just looked at him. Think nothing of it, my king. I'm your loyal vessel. Use me however you like. If there's anything you want me to do, whether it is resources or information, do not hesitate to ask. Your service to me and the kingdom have been very invaluable, said Naruto. But if you don't mind, can you find a way to take care of that plant-like creature he fled before I could kill him? I will handle it, my king, said Nagato. And Konan agreed. I will assist. Thank you, said Naruto. As he then faced Sorcerer, your services has been greatly appreciated, Sorcerer. All for the service of my king, said Sorcerer. You can take a few days breaking the kingdom if you want, all of you, said Naruto. You have all performed wonderfully. They all felt pride as their king praised their services. It is our duty, Lord Naruto, all three of them said at the same time. I am sincerely sorry, my lord, but I still have some loose ends to tie up on the ground. Fu, the 17th holder, requested for my help to take down Iron Country when time comes, said Sorcerer. Then it's best to remain here for the time being, said Naruto. Did she say anything else? Yes, sir, the samurais have ripped up the agreement scroll and is now rallying the Kages and the village leaders to band together to attack the kingdom. Fu was tasked by Mifune, the leader of Iron Country, to gather as much information as possible and where the kingdom was located. Inform her that support will arrive soon, and the kingdom main force will circulate around the continent and will eventually arrive at the Iron. Yes, sir. As Naruto made his way to the vehicle with Nora behind him, he helped his sister her seatbelt, and he strapped his own, as she held on to his hand. Ice cream sounds really good about right now, as the vehicle lifted off the ground, as Naruko chuckled. Thanks, bro, she said. Don't worry about it, said Naruto. Time skip. Konoha. The entire Leaf village was on red alert. Every Leaf ninjas that were out of the village or on vacation or on a long-term mission were called back and made to patrol around the buildings, the training ground, and around the academy. The people around everyone was looking around in paranoia. The Sakai kingdom had found a way to infiltrate the village without anyone knowing and kidnap the Hokage wife from the psychiatric ward with ease and without any effort, and that place was more secure. Minato smashed his fist down on the table as he glared at Inoichi from his seat. As the man sputtered out excuses and excuses on how the Sakai kingdom had managed to take his wife. Minato hissed as Inoichi shut his mouth at the sound. He opened his mouth to say something else, but there was a knock on the door. He pointed at the door as the clan had left the room quickly, leaving the other person to enter. as Junior entered, shaking his head for his teammate to stay outside the office. As he stood at attention in front of his father, his face blank with no emotions. "Sit," said Minato. The boy sat down. "You summoned me, Lord Hokage," he said. Minato refrained from sighing at the formality. Even at home, if Junior was at home, he called him Lord. He wanted to blame it on the rigorous training that he has put his son through, but he knew that it was because he didn't have any relationship with his child. The only connection they had was that Minato was his father, and that was registered on his birth certificate. They might look similar, but they weren't really father and son, having nothing, been doing nothing bond or anything like that. But Minato did not regret it. It was all to make Konoha strong. But he would have liked for Junior to see him as his father, not as a Hokage but his father. The boy was 14 and he already moved out of the family house. He distanced himself from his father, but he still had to report to him every once in a while. As Minato could see, Junior didn't like him that much. "Are you aware of what happened yesterday night?" "Yes, the Sakai Kingdom infiltrated the village and took Mother." As he noticed that Junior said took instead of kidnap, but he put that off for the moment. "Right, have you been able to read or hear anything on this rumor of the Sky Kingdom?" "The rumor I've heard is that they're all monsters, especially their king, and that their technology and seal master is unparalleled, but I've not been able to confirm this because no Jonin wants to tell me anything. The reason for that is because the king has already identified himself, and he has already made his intention known by successfully invading and taking over lightning, spring, and water countries. Is he someone we know?" Minato hesitated. Yes. "Who is he?" "The king," as Minato spat it with a disgusting glare. "Is Naruto," he said. It took a few seconds for it to click in Junior's mind which Naruto his father was talking about. You mean my brother?" Minato got up and slammed his hand on the table. "He's not your brother. That piece of rat shit is a demon, and demon has no family." He sat down again and rubbed his forehead. "That thing was never your brother." "Why did you summon me, Lord Hokage?" "Naruto kidnapped your mother. I have a feeling that he returned to kidnap you as well." Junior's hand started tightening as his father was talking. His face remained neutral, but he was pissed. He wanted his brother to take him away. His brother was still alive, so there was still a small tiny chance that he would still have a good family someday. He could not explain, but ever since he began his training with his father, seeing the love of siblings all around, that was something you want to feel as well. "Oh," said Junior, "I want you to stay safe. I will be assigning Kakashi and Tenzo to look after you, and if you want, your teammates. I can only imagine the terrible things that monster will do to you if he gets his hands on you. I hope your mother is still alive. I will find a way to bring her back safely. Do not worry," he said. Junior did not reply. Time skip. The Sakai Kingdom, the Royal Palace. As Naruto slowly opened his eyes, he was wearing a red shirt with black pants. As he went and put on his overcoat, he adjusted his clothes as he looked into the full body mirror. As he looked at the mirror, looking behind him at the stinger lump on his bed, the purses shuffled as she reached for the pillow and hugged them tightly. As the king looked up towards the clock above his bathroom door, as it was 4 a.m. in the morning, as he then moved over. "Sis, wake up," he said as he nudged her. The person turned away from the arms. "No, 5 more hours please," she said, as she held on tight to a pillow and buried her face into it. But the arm kept on nudging her. "You need to get up," said Naruto. "I have already booked you for the exams, and seeing that we're twins, I can't afford for the chaos if people see you in broad daylight." "But can't we do this tomorrow?" she asked. "No, I want both of us to kill father, and since you insist on being in the army, I'm going to push as quickly as possible." "There's no time to lose, sis," he said as he shook her. As Naruto slowly peeped from the covers. "You should have told me that we will be up 4 in the morning." "I did. You were too busy chucking down ice cream to listen." Naruto heard a polite knock on the door. As he opened it slightly and peeped out, it was Shinigura, temporary replace maid, and she was holding a small stack of clothes in her hands. She looked to be in her late 30s. She had purple hair with cold black eye. "Good morning, my lord," she said with a bow. "I hope you slept well. I am here, my lady." Naruko closed. Naruto opened the door a little more, as the guards were outside with 2 more maids behind her. "Is this what she asked for Naruto asked?" "Yes, sir," the woman said a deep bow. "Do you wish for me to change it, my lord?" No, it's fine," he said, as Naruko shifted out of the bed and just walked into the bathroom. As the maids then came inside and readjusted the bed before placing the clothes down gently. "Thank you," said Naruto. 10 minutes later, Naruko came out. Steam came out of the bathroom as she was wrapped off in a towel. As she threw on the clothes, she was wearing a deep red shirt with a black skirt, with military black leggings and black sandals, and her hair was tied up in a short ponytail with a headband. As she left the room graciously, as they walked down the hall, replying from the few palace workers who were awake at that time greetings. As they made their way through the palace and went around the garden to a canopy of trees. The trees bent together and shaded them from the open air, and under their feet was a luscious grass. Inside the canopy of trees was a man, as he was standing there with a large sword in his back, and there was also a desk and chair there. Naruto nodded to the man as the man dropped on his knees. "At ease, Indra," said Naruto. "Yes, sir. I hope you had a pleasant night, sir," the man said. "It was great, thank you." As he motioned to Naruko, gave a small bow to the man. "Indra, Watoshi, this is my sister, Naruko. It is an honor to finally meet my lord sister," said Indra, as he bowed to her. "She will be taking the evaluation exam. And just because she is my sister, I trust you not to be too partial with her. I truly want her to be treated as any other soldier." As Naruko nodded, she didn't want any special treatment. As Naruto turned towards her, "As you know, this is Indra, Watoshi. He's the head of the kingdom frontline soldier division. He and the others in his division are the ones that went through the paper to properly give our soldier their ranks. And if the examining did not reach a required score, they will get sent back to the academy. Indra here is an exceptional ninja, and I asked him to personally mark your exam. There are a few people that are greatly honest as him, and he's number one on my list." As Indra bowed again to the praises, not wanting to interrupt his king speaking. The exam is split into 5 sections: basic history knowledge, theoretical, basic jutsus, a written and oral, psychiatrical evaluation, which will be given to you by the head of the intelligence division, and finally a physical test of strength, skill, and intelligence. All of this is just to be careful and give us a clear knowledge of who our soldiers in the army are. He reassured his nervous sister. He then looked at Indra. "How long will the written portion take?" 2 hours, sir." "And the physical?" "It only depends on the examinee, sir." "I will assume that you will all take 3 hours in total," Indra agreed, with a deep hum. "He will take you to the Alpha Arena to test your physical capabilities." As she looked nervous, he placed a hand on her shoulder. "It will all be fine, I promise." She inhaled and exhaled, facing her brother with a strong gaze. "I will be busy with meetings, so I will entrust you into Indra capable hands." "I swear on my life and soul that lady, Naruko will be safe," said Indra. "Just please, don't go easy on me, okay? I want to feel like a real soldier of the Sky Kingdom," said Naruko. "You have my word," said Indra. "Are you really sure you want to do this?" said Naruto. "It's not too late to go back." "I'm sure," she said. Naruto kissed her on top of the forehead. "Good luck, sis." "Thanks again, brother," she said. And with that, Naruto left as Indra pulled out a duffel bag from the corner. As he pulled out the alarm and set the alarm for 2 hours. As he pulled out a stack of papers and placed on decks. As Indra then spoke in his deep voice, "You have 2 hours, Lady Naruko. There's plenty of time to read and answer every question, but for those who can't answer, leave them blank. If by chance there's an error in the question, notify me, and I will rectify it immediately. There are 5 sheets of rough work paper in the back, use them as you see fit. You will not be permitted to leave after the exam has been started. No cheating, I have eyes everywhere, best of luck." He then placed his hand on a stack of papers. 4:30 a.m. "You, begin now," he said. Naruko picked up the pencil as she flipped through the page, looking at the first question. As she marked down her answer and looked towards the next question. As Naruto made his way towards his palace, as his maid came in there with him as well. As he started to go through paperwork until there was a knock at his door. As the maid went to open it, after he gave her the signal, she opened the door. "On behalf of the entire kingdom, we are glad that you're back home, my lord Naruto," said Karin, as she and a few others came in. "It's good to be back home," said Naruto, as he smiled warmly at them. As Naruto spoke, "You might have noticed that Indra is not here. My sister is currently taking the evaluation exam, and he's currently supervising. If I may be so forward, my lord," said Nirvana. "Why is she being evaluated?" "I know, the process is tedious, and I've made it known to my sister, but she still wishes to go forward with the evaluation. She wants to prove to herself and me that she's worthy of being my queen." "But sir, Lady Naruko is worthy of being our queen," Majai said. "I know," said Naruto. "But that's a discussion for another time. Now, I want to hear your reports," as Karin was the first one to speak. "Your mother is currently retrieving psychiatric help from my best psychiatric. He has informed me that he has gotten her to stop singing, but she's only able to say a few words at a time before she started singing again. Magi has been able to remove 3 of the main shackles from the 11. This is why we believe that the treatment is reacting so well. I apologize for my slowness of removing and fixing the shackles, my lord. They were set there by a level 10 seal master, Mito Uzumaki. You are also level 10 and you have done something that no one has ever heard of before, Magi. Keep up the good work, said Naruto. The two of you. Thank you, Lord Naruto, the both of them said, with smiles of appreciation from their king, as he turned towards the next set of people. How go the search for the next tail beast holders? Magi was included again because of how vital her importance were of sealing away the beast. Nora, because along with her brother out there, she specialized in containing tail beasts. Hamato, because he was the smartest division head, seeing that he was also the intelligence and interrogation head. Satoshi, head of rescue and support, was the one that willing applicants went to apply for their children to be the beast holders. He was the first to evaluate the young children, even if they were still children. As Hamato, he was the leader of the group. He spoke for the others. We have found 2 good candidates for the 2 and 3 tails, but so far, the only people that can handle containing the 8 tails are people with high affinity for both lightning and water. Similar. How the 3 tail require 1 for water affinity. Killer Bee and Yujito had chosen not to ally with the kingdom, but Naruto did not really care about that. He didn't require them for his kingdom to become strong. They were kept in a heavily sealed era where they will live, until the time comes for their beasts to be extracted. Seal up the 3 and 2 tails. What seal will you be using, Magi? It is something my depth and I have been creating for the last 5 years. We have variations to seal of all the 9 tailed beasts. We called it the Royal Sekai Seal of the Unbreakable. This is because we have stacked over 100 seal on the other and find a way to incorporate it with the Shackle Seals. The only way a tail beast can break out or take control of the individual if you gave them permission. We have successfully tested seal on Yujito and Killer Bee, and their tail beast was contained. Keep trying to find the perfect candidate for the 8 tails. Well done, said Naruto as they bow. Hamato, what village has signed the agreement? The hidden village are Chill, March, Waterfall, Tree, Smoke, Sand, Kumo, Kiri, and Mountain. The countries are Lightning, Water, Spring, Frigid, Forest, Smoke, and Wave. All other countries and hidden villages has torn the agreement scroll. Naruto smiled slightly. Excellent. We still have half of the continent to conquer. Tell all the spies on the ground to stay vigilant. We still have 2 more days before we conquer the world. When the time comes, I want them to move into the countries that have torn their scrolls. They all nod their heads. Nora, I have a special mission for you after these 2 days. I want you to lead 2 squads of hunters and retrieval squad to Konoha to extract my brother, he said. Timeskip, main gate of Kumo. We have reason to believe that the Sky Kingdom is located just off your shores, said Jiraiya, as he looked down at the teenager that was wearing the Kage's robe and the hat of the Raikage, Darui. Darui shrugged lazily. You're free to go and check for yourself, I don't really care, but I will not be lending any of my shinobi to you. Jiraiya was shocked by that. Why not? I'm sure a joint attack on the kingdom will only leave a body's trail that will be high enough to erase Kumo from the face of the earth, Darui said, as he was the one that was assigned to be the Raikage after Naruto had killed A, as Mabe, who chose to still be the secretary, had given off documents that the Raikage had written before about his successor. For the past 5 days he has been unable to sleep because of the damage that he has been fixing that Naruto has caused, and the trauma of the events that he was forced to witness. On that day he was on the training field with Karu, Amoy, and Samui, and 3 women walked out there, wearing gold armor. They had been taken down like they were mere mosquitoes. Their limp and bound bodies were dragged back into the village, as their king had said that they were supposed to be left alive. Naruto wanted Darui to lead the village. How did that boy know who he is? Seems like they were being watched all along. Jiraiya had at least 80 ninjas with him in counting. That will not happen as long as you have the leaf with you. You don't seem to understand, said Darui. A force of over 1,000 men and women marched into a heavily fortified hidden village, undetected, and overcome every single ninjas, young and old, like they were mere dust in the breeze. Konoha know how hard it is to get to Kumo undetected, not even getting close enough to the seals to enter. The second and third Shinobi War proved this very well. Jerry knew that Kumo was the most protected continent. The fealty agreement scroll also say that we should only give information to those who ask. But the second we help out, boom, he said. Jiraiya sighed and nodded in defeat. I understand, said Jiraiya. As Darui then turned, moving away from the border. Oh, and do not enter my village. You may go around it, but do not enter. Great, Jiraiya says, he sighed. as Naruto made his way inside the village. A few minutes later, Sakai Kingdom Hospital. Naruto smiled as he placed his hand and ruffled the child hair. I am truly sorry you're not able to attend the festival, Amegari, said Naruto. I really hope you get better. Thank you, the girl said, as she spoke with a small lisp, making Naruto chuckle. It is no problem, as he straightened up and looked over towards the bowing man and woman at his side, as he gave them the order to stand. How has your daughter been doing since the treatment? Very good, sir. We couldn't ask her anything better. As Naruto smiled and turned back towards the girl. What do you think, Amegari, he said. The nurses are very nice, she said with a smile, showing her 2 front teeth that was missing. As Naruto smiled, I'm glad, he said. Suddenly, Nirvana approached and she whispered something to his ear, as a small frown came on Naruto's face. I'm sorry, but I must take my leave, he said. No, thank you for coming, my king, the boatman and woman said. Think nothing of it, said Naruto, as he turned back to the girl. You're gonna get well soon, okay? He said as he smiled at her. Thank you, she said. It wasn't irregular for Naruto to visit the sick patients in the hospital. It was something he did to reassure his people that he was there looking out for them. Not to mention, when he was sick or when his sister was sick, the only one who were there for each other was them. So, he made it a weekly thing to visit the sick people in the hospital. His people truly appreciate his visits. He always visited hospitals and the academy. At the moment though, Nirvana had interrupted his visit, saying that they were Konoha ninjas scouting out. The moment Naruto left, little girl exploded with excitement, happy that her king came here to visit her. She'll be telling all of her friends. It seems like Konoha really wants to speed up their demise, said Naruto. It seems so, my lord, said Nirvana. Tell Satoshi to have 10 squads of his ninjas and support to keep watching the Konoha ninjas. As soon as they detect the kingdom and start to attack, have the support ninjas start to retaliate. I want no survivors. Sir, Jiraiya, the Toad Sage, he's the one that is leading them. Should we also kill him? Hamato asked as he exited the hospital. Yes, and send his head to my father after he's dead. But I want Satoshi to handle Jiraiya. Sanins are tricky, so I want a platinum rank to take care of him. Naruto could handle Jiraiya by just simply raising his hand, but he wanted to see how a division head would do against him, a Sanin. The silent alarms of the kingdom was going off as ninjas went through the kingdom. As the people had no clue what was going on, it was the silent alarms, not the blaring alarms that something bad was happening. Back in the palace, his sister was soundly sleeping, catching up on the hours of sleeping that she had missed. Her exam result would arrive in the evening. As Satoshi arrived, my lord Naruto, you are aware of the plan Naruto asked. I already have my man hidden in the sea around the Konoha ninjas. They're ready to attack. Have more soldiers on standby, just in case they need more support. The barrier on the bottom of the kingdom was hit with a large fire attack from Jiraiya and his toads. He didn't even dent the defenses, he didn't even shake the kingdom because it was stabilized by seals. Satoshi, Naruto said, kill them all. I swear on my life, the man said, as a smirk came on Naruto's face. He will go and have a watch. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want the next part of this, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notifications stay posted, and remember to stay tuned for the rest of the watches coming your way. I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support, guys. But for now, I'm Montreal. See you guys soon. Bye, guys.